when it comes to the Caitlin Clark fan base has found herself in hot water. Now, I've been trying to take it easy on her because I know she's pretty much a driving force behind a lot of the drama that take place in the media. Try to avoid this story all day. I've been seeing it rampantly pick up steam online. People has been hitting me up about this story. John, I want to know your take on this Natalie Asquire situation. So basically, we know Natalie Asquire, a serial hater for the WNBA. People can say what they want. I believe Natalie Asquire really dislike Caitlin Clark and the new WNBA fans, which I feel like the fans are just regular sports fans, bro. Like,
a veteran WNBA reporter just got caught red-handed pushing a racist narrative about Caitlin Clark, and the evidence is shocking. This isn't just another Twitter argument. We're talking about an NBC reporter who might lose her job over this. Natalie Asquire literally singled out one specific fan base, Caitlin Clark's, and accused them of being racist. The craziest part? She's part of the old WNBA media guard that's terrified of losing control as new fans flood into women's basketball. Let me show you exactly what she said and why it matters. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now, back to the video.
Twitter is Twitter, bro. Like, it's not a big platform, bro. Like, Twitter people, you can just repost other people's stuff. So it's like, it's not really that big of a deal. They make it seem like they had some little secret cult or anything like that. Then they act like Twitter is a big platform. No disrespect to people with a bunch of Twitter followers. Shout out to y'all. But I guess back in the days, they made Twitter seem like it was a big deal because that's all they had. They didn't have people like John the Liquidator and other content creators actually doing daily vlogs, daily videos on this damn sport.
So let's talk about Natalie Asquire. For years, she was the voice many WNBA fans trusted. When she spoke about women's basketball, people listened. She built her reputation at NBC through countless hours of coverage, insightful analysis, and what seemed like genuine passion for the game. Fans would tune in specifically to hear her takes on players, game strategies, and league developments. That's what makes this whole situation so shocking. Because everything changed with that one social media post. Asquire decided to single out what she called one fan base for harassment and racism. She didn't explicitly name Caitlin Clark's supporters, but come on, the timing and context made it crystal clear who she was targeting. In the world of women's basketball right now, there's only one fan base that's grown explosively enough to be singled out this way. This wasn't some vague complaint either. According to sources close to the situation, Asquire specifically claimed that only this one fan base was sending her racist messages and threatening emails. Think about how serious that accusation is. She's essentially painting thousands of new WNBA fans with the same broad brush of racism, all because they happen to cheer for a particular player. You know what's really telling about this whole mess? The timing.
I dropped during the season. We're cracking hundreds of thousands of views. Go look, bruh. And I'm not the only channel that had this ability to break through to the masses. There are several channels that holds that power to break through. And they just never had that. Now, granted, they might have had a couple people, but they never had big voices. My channel alone has over 60 million views. That's what they mad about. They mad that people like me and other people came in and pretty much took over the game, bro. If you're talking about overall who moves the needle in the media, it is not y'all.
Clark's arrival in the WNBA has brought unprecedented attention, new viewers, and fresh energy to the league. Attendance is up, viewership is skyrocketing, and suddenly, there are all these new voices joining the conversation about women's basketball. And instead of celebrating this growth, Asquire seems threatened by it. John Liquidator put it perfectly when he described Asquire as part of the old guard of WNBA media. These are the voices who've controlled the narrative around women's basketball for years, and now they're watching their grip on that power slip away as new fans flood in. They're literally terrified of losing control of the narrative, as Liquidator said. It's like they'd rather keep the WNBA small and contained than see it grow in directions they can't control. The worst part? Asquire isn't just risking her reputation with this behavior. She's potentially torching her entire career. Liquidator didn't mince words when he said, "I do not believe Natalie Asquire is going to keep her job at NBC." That's how serious this situation has become. We're watching someone who spent years building credibility potentially throw it all away because she couldn't adapt to the changing landscape of WNBA fandom. What makes this situation even more frustrating is the apparent lack of accountability. When the backlash started rolling in, Asquire had a chance to clarify her statements or provide context.
Now, granted, we have seen none other than, Kathy Engelbert pretty much make plans and do stuff behind the scenes, from my understanding, when it comes to people in the media, allegedly.
Instead, the narrative suggests she doubled down, refusing to acknowledge that she was specifically targeting Clark's fan base with these serious accusations. That silence speaks volumes about her intentions. Imagine being a new fan who's just discovered women's basketball through Caitlin Clark. You're excited about this new sport you're following, buying merchandise, watching games, engaging on social media. And then you see a respected NBC reporter essentially labeling people like you as racist harassers. How would that make you feel about continuing to support the WNBA? This whole controversy has completely transformed how many view Asquire. She went from being a trusted voice in women's basketball to someone who appears to be deliberately stirring up racial tension within the fan base. That kind of reputation damage doesn't happen overnight. It takes a pattern of behavior that finally crosses a line too significant to ignore. The bigger picture here goes beyond just one reporter's social media post. This is about a fundamental shift happening in the WNBA media landscape. The old gatekeepers are being challenged by new voices, new perspectives, and a massive influx of fans who don't necessarily follow the established narratives. And some, like Asquire, seem to be responding to this change with resistance rather than adaptation. NBC now faces a difficult decision about how to handle this situation. Do they stand by a longtime reporter, despite the serious accusations she's made against a significant portion of new fans? Or do they recognize that this kind of divisive behavior has no place in sports coverage that should be celebrating the growth of women's basketball? What we're witnessing with Natalie Asquire isn't just some random Twitter beef. This is a full-blown power struggle happening right before our eyes. The old media gatekeepers are losing their grip, and they're not happy about it. John Liquidator and other new voices are literally breaking through to the masses in ways traditional reporters never could. They're connecting with fans who feel the established media doesn't represent them. This is bigger than one reporter's mistake. It's about who controls the WNBA narrative going forward. Will NBC step up, or will it be these new content creators who continue holding the old guard accountable? The landscape is changing, and there's no going back.